going to take you guys through one of our multi-directional warm-ups that I use predominantly with my soccer program. I'm going to show you an advanced version. I'm also going to show you the versions that are on the sports performance multi-directional warm-up series. Now, the first one, we always start with a lateral push. We want to get those glutes activated, get them all fired up. So we're going to start with the lateral push, and we want to make sure we're going about 15, 20 yards. So I'm going to be in a nice universal athletic position. Toes, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders are all lined up. My feet are directly underneath my hips. That's where I'm going to get the most power. I'm going to pick up my left foot, posture my body onto my right, and then kind of bring this hand over, lead with this foot, and push off, land directly where I started. So if my feet are underneath me, that's where I'm going to start. So I'm here, take a big lateral push. Big push step. And now I'm looking for distance. I'm trying to get as much distance as I can. Okay? We're going to go about 20 yards. Now, the advanced version is going to be a little bit more dynamic. So whenever you do more like nervous system activation stuff, you know, that those rapid fire, quick ground contacts, we're going to add that now into our warm-up. So I'm going to get into a nice dynamic rhythm. So I'm going to do a couple here, load up, push off. So I'm in the exact same position as the lateral push, but now I'm just kind of going up and down, some quick ground contact. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load, coil up into that hip and explode out, looking for the max distance again. So I'm here, a couple pushes, load and explode. Bounce, load and explode. Bounce, load and explode. You can do 100 bounces, doesn't matter to me. I just want you to be able to get a nice dynamic rhythm. Those are the first two. So I either do the lateral push-off, or I can do the dynamic lateral push-off. The second part, and you would do that there and back to get both sides, right and left. The second part is I'm going to do a lateral push-off, but on a 45-degree angle. So I want to keep my body square, but I'm going to push off and go 45 degrees. Now, there's two parts to this exact one. I can land with 2 feet on the ground, or I can land with 1, becoming stabilized on the one single leg. So I'm here, push off, that universal athletic position. Push, and I'm trying to gain distance on a 45-degree angle. Push, notice how the hips are square, shoulders are square. I land back with my feet underneath my hips. And if that's too easy, we have our athletes land on one leg, then put the other one down, repeat on the other side. We go all the way for 20 yards and we'll come back. The more advanced version is we're just gonna do that dynamic bounce again. So stay nice and rhythmic, quick ground contact. When you're ready, 3, 4, 10 bounces, doesn't matter, explode out of it on a 45-degree angle. So I'm bouncing, 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 load, explode. Bouncing, 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 load, explode. Bouncing, 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 load, explode. So I just kind of bounce, load, and explode. We would do that. That's the more advanced version. There and back. It's going to get your heart rate up very quickly. Now, the next one is we're going to get in our athletic position, and just like at the beginning with that lateral push-off, I'm going to do a hard lateral shuffle. I'm going to do a reverse pivot and turn every 5 yards. And I want to try to stay straight. I don't want to veer off and sway up and down. I want to stay in a straight line. I want to stay low in the tunnel. So in the tunnel means I don't want to pop up. Every single time that I flip and turn, I don't want to pop up and show my chest. I want to stay real low. So every single line, you're going to notice I'm going to reverse pivot, square myself up, shuffle, reverse pivot, square myself back up again. So I'm here, I shuffle, flip and turn, shuffle, flip and turn, shuffle, flip and turn. And we would do that 20 yards there, 20 yards back. Now, the more advanced version is we would add in that dynamic bounce again, that nice rhythmic bounce. So I'm going to do it very slow. But what it is I do a nice dynamic rhythmic bounce. I push off, I explode. When I get here, I pivot and turn, I wait, I settle the hips, I rhythmic bounce again, then I take 1 step over, and then I push off. So I flip, rhythmic bounce, 1 step over, cut, push, rhythmic spot, push. Yeah, get there. So I'm gonna do that part one more time. So what I'm looking for is you stay nice and rhythmic, you get that good bounce, you're staying low, so nice knee bend, hips back, chest up, and then what I want is you load up and explode in the hip. So I'm here, and I push off. When I make it to the line, I reverse pivot, I bounce, so I settle, And then I take a nice one step to the side, get my hips or my foot underneath my hip, and I explode back again. So it's flip, bounce, cut and go. Flip, bounce, cut and go. So that is very explosive, a little bit more dynamic, and it has a lot going on, a lot of coordination. But that's what we'll use with some of our advanced athletes. From there, now I'm going to do a sprint. So I'm going about 60% of this sprint, because this is our warm-up. And what I want to do is I'm going to break down, decelerate, and then I'm going to decelerate, come to about a stop for about a split second, jump straight up. When I land, my feet are going to be staggered, and I'm going to explode again. Then I'm going to decelerate, I'm going to jump, and I'm going to re-stagger my feet in the opposite way. So if I've had my left right up on the first landing, then on the second one, I'm going to go right left. So you want to make sure that you cue that. So I'm here, I'm going to run, I drop down, I decelerate, gather, jump. When I land, I stagger, I run, I decelerate, jump, and I re-stagger to the other side. So I'm going to show that real quick. So if you're working on your deceleration work, now is when we start to add some more sport-specific stuff. Especially with my soccer players, I have them go up, and they can do a header. So they can slightly turn the torso and give a slight header on this. So you're here, I run, decelerate, jump, boom. Run, decelerate, jump, boom. Run, decelerate, jump, boom. And right when I land, it's real quick, real dynamic, fast ground contact. My feet are going to touch the ground and explode. You want to understand your body in space, so we want to get up. We want to mimic the same movements that you would in soccer. Now, the more advanced version is, this is where we really try to, the athletes have to understand where they are in the air, where they are in space, and it's a little bit more difficult. So for an athlete that really doesn't have the coordination, doesn't have the body awareness yet, they wouldn't do this, but for those that's too easy, this next one is the same concept. I run, I decelerate, and when I jump, I do a 360 turn, I land, and I do it the opposite way on the next run. Check this out. So it's quick, dynamic, but under control. So I run, decelerate, jump, boom, run, decelerate, jump, boom, run, decelerate, jump, boom. And I go all the way down, and you notice that I don't pass the line, I go straight up. Now, what often mistakes happen is on both of the jumps, people will try to jump and go forward. So not going vertically, they're going horizontally. I want you to go up. So in a soccer game, you're going to have to plant that foot and go up. You're not going to be trying to go like this all the time. Get up and make sure when you land, you're under control, and then you go. What happens is you go over the line, then when you land, you're out of control. Solid landing, and then make sure you're on the same path. Don't veer left or right, because there will be somebody beside you probably in the line. The next one, we're doing a back pedal. Two versions. I'm going to back pedal, settle. So I do a fast back pedal, settle at 5 yards. And this is where I want to be more reactive, more aware. So when I back pedal and settle, I'm going to start to look around a little bit and then back pedal again. Settle, look around, back pedal again. So I'm here. I'm going to get into a nice athletic position. The chest over the knees and toes, everything is squared up, so I don't give a two-way go. I back pedal, I get to here, I settle, I back pedal. I settle, I start to look around, back pedal. Settle, start to look around. We're going to do that again, 20 yards. That's too easy. We start to add in a little bit more hip movement. So the second part of this, it's back pedal, settle. I call it flip, flip. So when I'm in that settle position, I flip, flip, come back to balance. Make sure they're always coming back to balance. If not, they're not going to get the most out of this exercise. So if you're a defender, you might have to flip those hips and run. So we just want to make sure in the warm, we're opening up the hips in that back pedal position. So same concept. I back pedal, I settle, I flip, flip, get back to balance. Back pedal, settle, flip, flip, get back to balance. Back pedal, settle, flip, flip. It's as simple as that. You want to make sure that you're very controlled. It's a very controlled exercise. So don't allow your athletes to do this if they're all over the place. If they're backpedaling and they're weaving all over, the hips are already turned before they even get into that position, if their feet are too close. The last one, we're just doing our rhythmic shuffle. So our eyes are in front. We know the play is always going to be in front of us. Hey, if it's not, then we're not in the play. So I'm looking my eyes straight ahead, and I'm gonna make sure now every 2 shuffles, I flip those hips. I flip those hips. I flip those hips. Every 2 shuffles in that nice, low, athletic position. So I go 20 yards on this, and I don't care how fast the shuffle is, I care how fast the hips flip. That's the key to this drill. So I'm here, 1, 2, quick hips, quick hips, quick hips. You notice how I use the torque in my upper body to help flip and open. So I really use my arms to help generate power to help me flip. If that one's too easy, the next one is probably the most complicated one. It's very coordinated, but if you've been teaching this part, your athletes should be able to get it. So now what I'm looking for is I call them quick hip flips. So there's no rhythmic shuffle here. I'm just flipping, flipping, flipping. Then when I get to the next 5 yards, I get back to the rhythmic shuffle. So we're trying to teach quick hips, then settle, get back to rhythmic shuffles, quick hips, get back to rhythmic shuffles. I'm gonna show you how this looks. So my eyes are straight ahead. I do quick flips. So I'm here, quick, 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 quick. Rhythmic shuffle. Quick, 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 quick. Rhythmic shuffle. Rhythmic shuffle. It's very fast, has a lot of coordination with it. This one might look sloppy at the beginning. Keep with it. They'll understand it eventually. Because you got to be able to do fast, quick, explosive movements, but at the same time come back to being relaxed and settled your body down. Now what we're going to do, so that was our dynamic, multi-directional first part of the warm-up. Now we're going to our dynamic mobility. So there's only 4 parts to this. Very simple. First one is, it is the forward lunge, but it's a deceleration lunge. So you guys are used to just putting your foot down. I want to actually get my hands up. I want to get my knee as high as I can. I go into a nice lunge. I decelerate myself. So I get that knee up. I decelerate. Everything is square. My hands come right on in front. Hey, now I get a lot of T-spine mobility. But at the same time, I want to squeeze that back glute, get hip extension by driving the hips forward. Hey, so I can really get that hip flexor to work and fire up. Turn, rotate, follow my hand. T-spine mobility, get the back to open up, then get that back leg to kick. So we got a lot of movements going on. I come forward, now I'm gonna get the other leg. So this leg will come up high, I'll decelerate into it, boom. Squeeze that back glute, drive it forward, get that nice hip extension, get open up through the hip all the way in the abdomen. You're here, I follow, open, open, kick. This is a great exercise because we involve so much, but we also add in that deceleration. So you would do that one way, so you get that for about 20 yards. They should be able to get at least 3 to 4 per leg on this. The next one, so we got the quadricep, opposite leg, opposite arm pull. So all I'm looking for is, if your right leg is on the ground, you're gonna grab your left foot with your right hand. Now get a lot of balance in here, and I'm gonna this hip hinge. So you get some hip flexion, hip extension at the same time, and I'm gonna reach out. I'm trying to keep my body as square as possible. You don't want to see people sway side to side. And I'm also getting a lot of ankle, knee, hip mobility, and core activation. You wanna hold this for 3 seconds. Hey, balance is the key, stability is the key to this exercise. So I balance, I really gotta grab that big toe on the ground. I'm just gonna hold, take a few steps, grab the other side, knee bend, hips back, pull, reach out. And we call this, that you're trying to get in a tabletop position, so I'm almost trying to balance and hold a protein bottle on my back. So I'm in that table position. So I should be real flat, and I should be able to balance that protein on my back. I'm holding for 3 seconds. I get a massive hip quadricep stretch all the way through my core, and I get a lot of balance. That's number 2. The third one here is when we're working on is a side-to-side lunge, and we're putting in the deceleration hold as well from a lateral position. And I'm also working on that Cossack, so I'm gonna hit those, the hip rotators as well. So I'm here, hands are up, and I'm just gonna drop down into it. Now this foot is going to be flat. The one that's long has to be flat at all times. Don't turn your foot over, put excess stress on your knee. Then I'm just gonna keep my chest up. I gotta pretend there's a camera on my chest. I'm gonna go to one side, open up the hip. Now I'm gonna open up just like you would in soccer. I always tell my athletes, you would open up like this to kick the soccer ball. So when I'm in this position, now I'm gonna rotate, toe goes to the ceiling, toe goes to the ceiling. Now I shuffle over, Same thing. Same leg, drop down, boom, decelerate. 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the rotation. So we're hitting that hip capsule. So we're really opening up through the groin, hamstrings, and hip. Keeping that chest up, great mobility exercise to really hit deep into that groin. So we do both ways so we can get both deceleration work on the right and the left. The last one, okay, is we're going to work on some more hamstring work, a little bit of calf work, and this is a ballistic hip hinge. Now you've seen before where people are just rounding out to do that stretch, with that hamstring mobility stretch. This time we don't want to round out our spine in this. Hips are square, so toes, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders all square. Okay, don't turn this back foot on me. Back leg bent, front leg straight. Make sure your chest is up. There's a camera on my chest. Try and take a picture in front of me. Crease my hands, going to crease my hips. Push my butt back, hip hinge. 3 ballistic pumps coming forward. 1, 2, 3. You go as fast as you can go under control. Feel the stretch. I feel it all the way through my calf into my hamstring. Pumping that hip back. We're going to do that there. And then now we're going to get into some of our ground-based flexibility. There's not a lot left that you have to do. So what we want to do is we want to more open up the hips. We're also going to open up the upper back as well. So I like to do some cat-cows. This is also an opportunity to bring the heart rate down just a little bit before we start doing some glute activation work and like our speed and agility work. So we've just primed our body up, and now we're just going to settle it down just a little bit before they take a drink, and so we can get other things moving up again. So palm, elbow, shoulders all in line with the knees. I take a deep breath in, and then I take a deep breath out. I pull my hips through. I'm pushing my hands through the ground. I'm rounding my back. I'm going to camp out here a little bit, move and groove in the spaces. Take a deep breath, and we're going to do that 5 times, really opening up the upper back. Then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to do some hip rocks. Now you can do anywhere from 5 to 10. So I bring my foot to the side. We open up the hips just a little bit more of that groin. We do about 5 to 10 of those, and we'll sit up. We'll do the same leg. I'm going to open up the hip capsule just a little bit more because now I'm really isolating it. Another 5 to 10. I'm doing it at the front as well. Okay, because we play soccer, there's a lot of movement. So we want to really open up your hips. Then from here, it's a little bit more of a hip hinge, and I'll do both sides. Remember, anywhere from 5 to 10 of those. Then I want to do my tactical frog. Now, I want to open up my hips. My knees should be in line with my ankles. My elbows are going to come underneath my shoulder, and I'm just going to rock the hips back. I take a deep breath in, just like I would in a squat, and I'll blow it out as I come up. Really trying to open up those hips, and I'm going slow. This is not a speed exercise, and we want to make sure we're trying to get as much range as we can. Find it, maybe camp out there for a second, and then get a little bit deeper. I'll do anywhere from 8 to 10 reps of those. Okay, then from there, I'm going to just come up a little bit higher, and then do some rotations with the hip, and really now isolate and hit that hip socket. So I'm going to get in there in that ball and socket and really open up my hips. I do anywhere from another 5 to 10 per side. Then from there, now I'm going to do some leg circles. Now watch how I do these leg circles. I am going to activate the glute at the same time in these next few exercises. I drive my hip back and I bring it up and around. Minimal movement anywhere else. So I go back and up and around. If that's too easy for a lot of the athletes, they can go into a full plank position. Now we can get the core real stabilized. Bring it up around, heel close to butt, bring it back to down underneath you. So you can always get a perfect rep. So I would do forward, and then I would also come back and do back as well. So I'll do 5 both ways. From there, I'm going to go onto the ground, and then all I'm looking for is we're going to do a prone scorpion, but we're also going to add in a glute pump here. So we're here, my heel is to the ceiling. I'm going to activate that glute, get some hip flexor work as well. 1, 2, 3, squeeze, and we're over. 1, 2, 3, and over. And I would do 3 to each side, flip over quickly. Now I'm just going to go low iron crosses. I want to keep the sweeps very low to the ground. I don't want to overdo it. Again, 5 to each side. Then from here, I'm going to clasp the back of my hands, quick hamstring kick, and pull. Quick hamstring kick, and pull. So as you can see, I'm getting real ballistic and fast with this movement. So I want to flex the quad. I kick it real fast like I would in sports, moving high velocity, and then I pull it back. So I go from getting that low hamstring to high hamstring. I'm going to do 5 to 10 on each side. From there, then what I'm looking for is looking for rollbacks. So I roll back, reach, and have my palms up, my chest up, and really reach forward. Another 5 of those. From there, this is what I really want to get into. I want to get into a 90-90 position, chest up. I got some glute pumps here. So don't take your hip right off the ground. Lean over with your chest. I'm going to pump 3 times over the knee, 3 times over the shin, and I'm going to reach over and try to reach my back heel. So I'm going to do 3 pumps there, and I'll do that about 5 times total each. And then I'll switch sides, and I'll do the other side right after. Then I'm going to open up the hips. So I'm going to hip inside of the top of the hip here, and I'm just going to do knee fall-ins. Hey, critical, especially for soccer, that's why I'm really focusing on a lot of hip work. So I do the knee fall-ins. Lastly, I'm going to hit a little bit more of the calf. So I'm going to get some bicycle some bicycle pedals in here. So I'm driving down on my heel. My inside legs, or the top leg here, is going to be bent. And I just go back and forth, making sure that I really drive that heel into the ground. So I get a lot more calf work. And then from there, last one, I go into a nice ballistic hip stretch. Chest is up. I do 3 pumps, really opening up. Anywhere from 3 to 5 per side. You're warm from here. Hey, this is a great activation warm-up. 3 phases. We got the dynamic mobility where we're really doing our dynamic stuff that we would do in sports. We warm up with that 60-70% each drill that I showed you. Then moving into our dynamic mobility where we're going through different range of motion exercises, getting your muscles primed, then going back in the ground, bring the heart rate down just a little bit before we start other things so your athletes aren't very tired, and then just working on other things that, more minute details, really getting in there, anything that could be tight. So give this a shot. It's a great warm-up. It's going to be a lot faster than this video. You're going to have the PDF. Everything you're going to have is in your hands. So, coaching cues, benefits, all that stuff. So you know exactly what you're doing and how to coach it. We'll see you guys next time.